Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are looking at kind of a little bit of a haul here for Star Wars. Getting into the Micro Galaxy Squadron once again. Kind of looking around on Amazon the way I kind of typically do, and every so often I flip back over, and to my surprise I happen to find the TIE Defender. So one of the big things for me is when this came out under the Galoob label many years ago, I was never able to really get this in my area because it just never really seemed to have shipped over here. So regrettably, I was never able to pick this up in the old Galoob version of it. Now, one of the things I will say is I think that this is a little bit smaller than what Galoob had done when they had done theirs. We're going to get this opened up here real quick, and we got two of them because if I'm going to get one, I want to get a second one right away. They weren't overly expensive that I remember, but there again, just the chance to be able to get one of these was really exciting, so I just did not want to take a chance at not being able to get it. So, without further ado, let's get this little bad boy opened up here as we look at all the play features that we have. So, we have the stand, okay, and an extra wing here because this has 3 wings, wing pylon sets. Okay. I got my scissors here. Thought it was kind of fitting seeing that we're looking at getting into the Christmas season that, you know, we kind of spend a little bit of time looking at some of the other things that we can find for some of the different fans for the different franchises that we cover here. Trying to get this out. I don't know how strong these pylons are. I don't want to put too much stress on there and break it like I've done on other things. Oh, you little shyster, you. Okay. Trying to push the cockpit out. And they got her in there really good. And I'm afraid I'm just going to break these pylons off. Yeah, like that. Okay. Holy shiesties. Alright, well, that's in there really good. Okay, throwing that all off to the side. So, looking at what we have here without having the wings on here, it looks kind of odd. But it is an interesting setup. So, looking at this, I want to say, I think this version does have a hyperdrive on board. That opens up. So hopefully you guys get to see here. We do have some of the mechanics here that we can kind of work on. This is supposed to be still, I thought this was a twin ion engine, but looks like it's a bigger single engine here, unless there's an engine on the sides. I do not see an engine on the sides though. Looks like there is like some sort of upgrading for the weapons themselves. Trying to remember exactly how this worked. I want to say this has just the 6 blasters on there. And it has shielding, which then means that that's probably for putting out the shield on there. So let's see here. And we have our spot for our cockpit to open up. So that opens up pretty decently. So we get our pilot in here. There we go. And he looks like he's just that standard pilot mold that we typically get to see. And when I ordered these, then they came out with, came with 2 of the mystery vehicle and figures. So we'll get those opened up. I'll just get one of these opened up and we will go from there. All right. There's one. And then we get two. And then three. Now, the interesting thing with these are, yes, they should be able to, in emergencies, be able to land on their wing struts or pylon struts. Of course, it looks like it's going to be kind of canted downward here when we look at that. But like with pretty much all the ties, the original idea is, yes, we're going to have a racking system so we can get them sitting inside of a rack, so that way hopefully the pilot can get off on a scaffolding. Probably like an arm that kind of comes out around it, something along that line. You're probably using a tractor beam to try and get everything all set up in there. And it's a very nice looking fighter. I really do like this. I was kind of wondering if there's not something underneath here, but I don't see anything there to open up. Because on our old ones, on our old standard TIE Fighter, underneath here is the actual engine. But this is elongated for the engine itself, and we actually have a little extra power there. Now we do have, oh, this is a ball joint. I'm hoping I can get this to pop in there without, I think we're in there. All right. There. That's kind of nice, because we can have it sitting there and it can look like it's flying up or off to the side or what have you. This does give us a little bit of freedom here. So if you want to kind of, like it's going off one way or the other, flying a little higher, or if we want it to be swooping down, we can do that as well. Gives us a little bit of flexibility. That's kind of a nice thought there by Hasbro and the design team, giving us that nice ball joint to be able to position that however we feel we need to have that. All right. And when I found that, I wanted to see what else I could find. So we stumbled across having a AT-DP. So this is the single personnel walker that we got to see out of the Rebels. Same as having the TIE Defender. And it is kind of nice to sit there and think, okay, so during Rebels we got to see the TIE Defender already. That means that that's something that technically could have been there in A New Hope. And as someone that loves like the battle mechs and everything else, the AT-DP being a single personnel walker is kind of nice to me, because like with a lot of the figures and everything else, we have two Imperial Command driver or combat drivers. Kind of a nice looking figures here. Hopefully there's no glare there for you. But oops. Get them out there. One of the nice thoughts there are, you know, we can have a walker with only a single pilot, single driver, and that lessens the amount of potential personnel that we would end up losing if things go wrong. Oh, there's something in there holding everything in there together, and I'm not seeing that, so let's get our... There we go. Okay. All right. Ooh. Okay. That's kind of a nice thought. So we have a little turret action here, so we can kind of go back and forth. That's nicely thought of. And the fact that that ratchets a little bit, so we can have it walking a little higher or crouched down a little bit. So, and the feet do want to stay fairly close together. Now we got to open this up to see how well we have this done. And it looks like there's a little spot right here, so that's what I'm trying to use to open it up and have this kick on back. So from the looks here, it does look like this has possibly a pilot and a gunner. Like I said, I do like the idea of having it as just a single pilot, but that's not something that we typically get to see with a lot of the Star Wars walkers. Usually it's a pilot and a gunner. And then there we are. Nice cockpit on the inside. You know, and it's always that interesting aspect where with Star Wars, because a lot of the technology is not, I'm going to put it out this way. It's not like it's newer technology. It's just that it's a common technology that's used. So it doesn't really take up a lot of space. I guess that's another reason why you can call it a little bit more space fantasy. The fact that, you know, we have these things, but it's not like we're stressing over like Star Trek or whatever. Okay, so what's the okay, I had everything working good here before. What's the technobabble in order to get everything to work? It's just kind of implied. This is just a running thing, very similar to what we would just look at as having a car operate. So in that regards, it just works. We don't really fuss about it. We don't have to marvel at the technology or try and figure out a workaround. It's just looked at in the same aspects of, say, a car. So that just opens everything up. Everyone just expects it to work. So it's kind of nice listening to different stories that I listened to on YouTube where if you're running into new situations, even though I may know it's a said whatever type of show, everyone else is looking at it as, okay, we've never actually run into this, so here we are, we're trying to figure this all out, going from that point. All right, then last but not least, we do have our TIE Striker. Now, I like this design more for atmospheric flight. That's given us a nice wing design here. Now, these wings do come separately, and then they just pop on and pop off. And with the one wing here, and they only fit on one way. There are certain notches on here to keep you from putting them on the wrong way. This side seems to droop a little bit more than what I'd like, but it just is what it is. It's not a really large binding clip in here, so I'm not fussing about it all that much. Just is what it is. It's a nice setup. The fact that this can be a fighter bomber for inside an atmospheric, primarily atmospheric flight. It is fairly decent, I believe, for space flight capabilities. I'm trying to get this thing opened up here. Okay. There's the one side, and then there's the other. Okay. And then trying to do the door. All right. Catches a little bit here. We only have one pilot here. So as we look at this, because this is how it comes, as you can see, the wings are off and that. We do just have the one pilot, which is fine. So we have the one pilot, and unfortunately, he's just kind of flopping around in there. Oh, I think he's having a bad day. All right. And I'm not getting them in there very, very centered. But we do have the front, and we could put someone in the back as well. And as you can see, they did leave that somewhat open, so you can probably crawl in between the two. And we can go from there, as well as having the back engine, so we can work on the engine as well. Now, the back personnel, the rear-facing personnel, is probably going to be your bomber. working on that aspect of it. I'm willing to bet you could probably fly this all on your own, but you will probably have a negative for doing your bombing run. I know at some point we will probably get into doing stats for this. If you're looking for stats for this in the D6 system, I would recommend looking it up on rpggamer.com, I think. They're usually my go-to site for a lot of the things that get brought up in like the Rebels, Rogue One, and all the other extended universe stuff that we have not gotten in any of the old novels or the D6 books. And they do have some of this for some of the other gaming franchises as well. But usually anything that I can find off of there is something that I would very easily, very happily just run in my D6 gaming if I was going to do that on my own. If you're doing it as a D20, I think they have some of the stuff in there. And with what Fantasy Flight Games is doing right now, I don't know how much they support that because I really do not get into what Fantasy Flight has been doing. Not saying I'm against it, it's just that I've been doing all this stuff so much in the D6 universe, which is what my channel is pretty much built on, is pretty much just the D6 universe, that's just where I kind of stay. I might pick up some extra books here and there, but just so I can kind of show the difference between what they're doing now. And if you like how they're doing a lot of the role-playing games that they're currently doing, that's fine. I am not someone to keep anybody from enjoying a role-playing game. I don't care if it's something I'm not a big fan of. I'm just gonna, in my personal viewpoint, say I'm not used to it being that way. I'm used to a more combat-centered, less narrative way of doing things, for the better or worse of what that all entails. Okay, this looks like it would be more of a hologram. Nope. Sit, stay, good fighter. Okay. So this, like I said, looks like it would be more of a holographic version of, let's see, that should be down. Nope. Like this. With it being that translucent blue, it's really kind of messing with me. All right, and that means that would be, and he's got the horns on there, although it's hard to see and make this out, but Darth Maul. So when Darth Maul is trying to talk to Palpatine as Lord Sidious, and it comes across as a hologram, this would be it. So it's kind of nice. It's a little off, just seeing it all in the same shade of blue. Not saying it's a bad thing. It's just that I'm not used to having the hologram ones. I don't typically go after the hologram ones. So, but these are blind boxes. I am not against it. I'm not fussing over it. Let's see what else we got here today. And I got a second one. All right, so I'll just leave that one be. Okay, well, let's see what we got out of our TIE Defenders. I would be surprised in a way if they turn out to be duplicates of each other, but that's what we'll see here. So we have a Barca Speeder with a sidecar. And that looks very much like that would be, oh no, that would be Anakin. I think that's Anakin here. I could be wrong, but it looks like it would be Anakin there. Because he's got the lightsaber on the side, and that's done up very much like Anakin. Otherwise, I was thinking it was Antilles, Bail Antilles. So, all right. Last but not least, let's see what our last one is here. Do we get another Anakin with a burqa, or do we get something else? Nope, we get it. We have Kanan Jarrus with his speeder bike, which is very fitting for the time frame. I'll put his speeder bike on there, and we can put that in the Ghost, right? And there we are. All right, so looking at what we have here, we have Kanan Jarrus, we have Anakin Skywalker, and we have two different Darth Mauls in a holographic form. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right, and that's what we have here today. It's a little bit different. We're not doing stats here for our Star Wars on a Monday. Just doing a little bit of a figure haul. Like I said, one of the things for the TIE Defender just simply was when Galoob had done it, I could not get it in my area. We didn't have Amazon and all that stuff way back then, so it's not like I could order it. So this time when I saw it, I knew I had to get at least one copy, and I was able to get two. We only had one for the ATDP. That's why I only got the one there, and of course then getting two TIE Strikers. Very kind of nice, iconic looking starfighters out of the TIE series. Kind of nice looking, very well done. I think they've done a decent job at that. The only thing I'm going to say is, if you're not a big fan of this drooping, you might have to kind of glue this up a little bit. That's going to be on you, whether you do that or not. I don't know if I'm going to glue it myself. Time will tell, and we'll just go on from that point. So with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's always wonderful having you here. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video.